Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Unhinged Tushar. And today I'm going to talk about all the books I read this year. I'm going to talk about whether that book helped me or not. I'm going to talk about whether that book I enjoyed reading it or not. So you can decide for yourself whether you have to buy that book or skip it. This is not going to be a very long review of each book. It's going to be a 2 minute short review of each book. You can skip through the timestamps if you want to know about a particular book. And there's not going to be a particular order of these books. I'm just going to pick my books from here and talk about it. So I think we can start, and I hope you enjoyed. So, yeah, the first book is Solving the Procrastination Puzzle. This book is good. It's a short book on procrastination. If you procrastinate, I think a short book is what you need, but you can skip it. And I'll tell you later why you can skip it. But if you're like genuinely just struggling with procrastination and want a small book and want to get rid of it, this book helped me a little. So I'm very dicey about it, but you can skip it and I'll tell you why later. But yeah, this book is good. I won't suggest it a lot. The next book is Yellowface. Absolutely loved it. The ending is a little weak, but other than that, this book is particularly well written and especially good for writers because like it gives you a sneak peek into the American publishing world. So I think this book is like great for writers, or if even if you're not a writer, it's a great book to read. It's a page turner. I started it and I just couldn't get rid of it. Like I was just reading it, and I completed like 300 pages in 2 days. So even if, especially if you're not being able to read a lot, I think this book will help you get into reading. So this book is particularly great. I think you should read it. It's great. Now the next book is Bad Therapy. I think everyone should read this book. As simple as that. Everyone should read this book because I think we take a very any benefit approach with therapy. What is any benefit approach? That because something has like some, how do I say, some benefits, we tend to ignore all the bad things it do. I think with social media sometimes we do it like because like we can connect with people and we can put our work out. So social media, we don't think of it as a bad thing. We just see ki, like, okay, this is how we socialize, but we tend to ignore its negative because like there are some positive. And I don't think like on internet now therapy seems like too good to be true, and I don't think anything is too good to be true. And this book talks about it. This book talks about the bad side of the therapy, and especially it focuses on children because, like, let's say a therapist tell a patient that your mother was one of the reasons that your mother or your father or whatever your some relative was one of the reasons you got a lot of trauma. I think an adult can forgive and move on and still have a good relationship. A child cannot. A child or a teenager cannot. Like if I say to a teenager that some of the problems you are facing is because of your mother, I mean in teenage you are already hating your parents for no reason, and I don't think we need more of that. And yeah, so I genuinely think like people should read this book and get into and just get a little bit taste of like what the bad side of therapy is. The one side effect is ki, like you will be able to judge your therapist a little better, and if you're going to take therapy, so you need a good therapist because a bad therapist can do more harm than good. So yeah, Bad Therapy by Abigail Schreier, should read it. Now we have Ali Abdul's Feel Good Productivity. That's why I was saying you can skip solving the procrastination puzzle because Ali Abdul covers most of it in his book. I think it's a good guide on productivity. There are three particular reasons I like it. One is like it pretty much covers everything about productivity. You don't need to read another productivity book after this. I mean, you can get into details, but still, this book is not prescriptive. Like it's not going to say ki, like do X or Y. It asks you to explore everything and leave away whatever you don't want. Like ask you to be a productivity scientist of yourself, which is a good thing to do. And third reason is that this book is asking you to enjoy your work, which you don't get to hear a lot in the whole self-help space. You get to hear that you have to struggle, you have to like cultivate disciplines and do the things you hate so that you can be productive. And also, this book go against the idea very controversial, not controversial, like against the tide kind of idea, and you will love it. This book is good. Next book is Attached. I love this book. I genuinely love this book. I think it helps me understand people much better. I think it helped me understand myself very better. क्या होता है whatever. It genuinely helped me, like, understand myself better. And I love the idea of the dependency paradox in this book, that you need to totally depend on your partner to be independent, which is a very paradoxical thing to hear. But what the author is trying to say is ki, like, just like, people who have good families tend to take a little more risk. This is that kind of argument, that if you can rely on your partner completely now, you will be able to go out and take more risk. Else you will be just struggling with a relationship and you won't be able to go out. And people tend to think like they can be a one independent unit in the relationship. I don't think it pans out. I don't think it pans out. I think, like, this is written in the book, that once you get into a relationship, you become one psychological unit, and you should treat the relationship like that only, and try to create a very safe environment, or like, a very secure base, so that you can do whatever you want outside the relationship. So dependency paradox is good. I think everyone should read about dependency paradox at least, even if you don't want to get into the attachment styles and all. But yeah, this book is a good read. I have not read it completely. I also haven't read Bad Therapy completely, but I have read more than half of both books, and I'll genuinely recommend both of them. I read What If. I didn't read full of it, but I read most of it, and great book to pique your curiosity. Like, it is like some stupid questions. Like, let me read one. If my printer could literally print out money, would it have that big an effect on the world? So, just pure curiosity. Okay, like, is it possible to build a jetpack using a downward firing machine guns? you know and there is an answer to everything, like, with proper calculations and all. So this book is great. And what yeah, Randall Munro has done a great work of taking physics and making it fun. So yeah, I genuinely recommend this book a lot, and you should read it. Next book, Deep Work. I liked this book a lot when I first read it, and now I don't agree with most of it. There is, like, okay, there is an idea of social media, that you should just completely get rid of social media. I don't think that is, like, that part of the book is good. Deep work as an idea is good, but I think it, as a person who is, like, very perfectionist, it do more harm than good, because I try to then make everything very particular. I try to make everything accord to help me focus, and because of that I actually don't get a lot of things done. Like, I get stuck in the system. I'm trying to create to focus, and I don't actually focus. I don't actually do the things I want to do. So I would rather have some music in the background rather than doing some deep work, just so I can enjoy my work. So this book, I have a hate hate love kind of relationship with. I will suggest, like, you read it once, because it has some good ideas, and if you're not a particular perfectionist, it might help you, but half suggested. Next book, Psychology of Money. Okay, this is a very popular book, and I didn't think it will be that good, but this book is particularly good. Like, I thought, like, it'll be just like another one of those books which just ask you to invest in something, or you know think about money. How do I say it? Like, just very prescriptive. Very prescriptive. Ki, like, okay, you should do X, you should do Y, you should be doing this, numbers, sheets, whatever. But this was not like that. It actually helped me understand a lot about money, and I actually started saving after this book. And the best idea of this book was, like, you cannot predict everything, like anything at all. You cannot predict anything at all. Even the most experts can't predict anything at all. What you can do is you can hedge your bets. And I started thinking about money in that way, that I'm not trying to save my future or anything, or I'm not going to, that I have to do everything in my power to do whatever to save my future. But saving money is not one of that. Saving money is just for hedging my bets. Like, maybe this money will grow, maybe this won't, but I'm just hedging my bet. Like, in future I might need it, I might not need it. So this book is particularly good. One of the great quote in this book was ki, like, the best and the worst managers uh, make their people work hard. You know, that quote is like so good, like, and like there is a startup advice that um, customer is the king, and there is a opposite advice as well that customer don't know what they want. So you don't have to listen to a lot of advice, you should do what's good for yourself. And yeah, I will highly recommend this book, especially just to understand hedging the bets kind of idea, and not be over optimistic about markets and all. And yeah, it's a good gateway into money, and actually saved some money, so yeah, it's effective. Next book, Tuesdays with Morrie. I won't suggest this book to someone who has read a lot about death and all. I think it scratches the surface about death, money, wealth, basic ideas. Like, the moment you are in college and you're thinking about independence and money, and how you should treat your relationships and whatever, like basically, basics of life. I think a college student can read it, but if you are already into the philosophical stuff and all, I generally don't recommend it. Second reason is it is not written from point of view of Mori. It is written from point of view of one of his students. So I think the book loses its effect in the making. But still, if you're young, you just want to know a little bit about death, a little bit about money, a little bit about relationships, need some good basic advice, you can read it. I love it. It's a very warm book, like, and I just I just like the idea of death in general. So that's why maybe I enjoyed this book, but I won't suggest it to a lot of people. Next book is Million Dollar Weekend. You can't skip this book if you want to be an entrepreneur. Like this book, okay, I read this book and there were some exercises in the book. I actually did those exercises, some of them, not all of them, and I actually earned some money, like little bit of money. Um, Out of this book, because the book says ki, like, you ask one of your friend about like some of the problem they're facing. I went out, I asked one of my friend if there is a problem he's facing. He told me, I made a tool out of it, asked him for money beforehand before even making the tool, and he ended up paying me, and I had a good pizza after that. Pizza or biryani, I can't remember exactly, but yeah, I earned some money after reading this book. I didn't earn $1 million, but still, it was a good framework to see कि, like, you don't actually need money to run a business. You just need customers. So this book, highly recommended, highly recommended. Next book, Carl Newport's Slow Productivity. Highly recommended. I think we do a lot of stuff. We do a lot of stuff. And this book asks you to cut out. Asks you to cut out on all the bullshit of your life. It asks you to be slow. You don't have to be very fast all the time. You can just be slow and still get shit done. And yeah, this book is good. This book is really good. I love this book. It genuinely helped me see my work in a very different way. So highly recommend it. Art of Clear Thinking. Love this book. Okay, so I wanted to read something around, thinking and all. And I started reading Thinking Fast and Slow. And bro, that book is like hard to read. But this book is not hard to read, and it comes from very experiential point of view. And I think that's why this book like is easy to understand. And all the ideas in this book, like all the rules in this book, like give you a very basics of like how to make better decisions. And this book is great. Like this book will actually help you make better decisions if you follow it, and give you a little basic of the tipping point and 20/80 Pareto principles and all that, like all the basic thinking. क्या बोलते हैं उसे? Sunk cost value, sunk cost, opportunity cost, and whatever, like basic, it will cover. You should read it, and the whole autobiographical tone is also good. So it's not very hard to read. And yeah, The Art of Clear Thinking, good book. So good they can't ignore you. I think everyone should read this book, especially if you're into the passion hypothesis, that you should be passionate about the work you're doing. Uh, I used to think that way, that you need passion to uh, love your work, but I don't think that's true. I think you need competence, you need good people around you, and you need autonomy, which this book talks about. So this book is good, and it also tell you like how you can build a career without passion. So this book is good. This book also talks a lot about all the Steve Jobs, like how he was into the passion hypothesis. Like he popularized the passion hypothesis, but he himself didn't ever actually followed it. So it starts with that. Great book, highly recommended. Stolen focus. So I was like, after deep work, I wanted to know more about focus, so I picked this book from Crossword, and I thought it is going to be a self-help guide on focus, but it was not. There is only 3 4 pages about how you can be more focused on in this book, but it talks mostly about how as a generation, or how as a क्या बोलते culture or whatever, we are all like all the people in the system are lacking focus, and like all the things that are wrong with this world that are making us less focused, because I genuinely get bothered, like if I'm talking to someone and they can't talk to me for like 10 minutes properly. I think most of the people here have skipped the video because they just can't watch a 15-minute video, 15 minute or 16 minute, whatever. This book talks a lot about how our food is getting bad, and that's why we're losing focus, how Slack emails are making us lose our focus. It talks about all the external factors, so that you can take it easy on yourself when you're unable to focus, so that because you can see like the system around me is rigged against me, so you can take it a little easy on yourself when you lose focus, and you get a better idea of how you can regain it. So this book, highly recommended. Just a random pick from Crossword, and I didn't think it will be that good, but it was. So read it. Almanac of Naval Ravikant, classic book. I don't think I have to say anything about. I didn't read the happiness part before. I only read the money part before, so I read the whole book this time, and loved it. I don't think I have to say a lot about this book. I think most of you have already read this book. So yep, I think pretty much this about it. So ये है Naval. So sorry, back to English. So this is Naval's brother's book. So Naval has a brother, Kamal Ravikant, and love yourself like your life depends on it. Love yourself like your life depends on it. Very weird title, to be honest, but that's what caught my attention. And I was going through a crisis in my life, so I thought, why not read it? And see, I have very mixed opinion about this book. This book talks a lot about like how you should love yourself and all that, and how loving yourself changed Kamal Ravikant's life. But I think what I actually liked about this book was the vulnerability with how Kamal Ravikant told his story, and whether you get this takeaway or not, that you should love yourself or not, I think it at least asked me to. So I don't like this whole idea of self-love and all. I think people really confuse self-care and self-love, but this book actually asked me to asked me, or open my mind to the idea that self-love can be a good thing, and it can take self-love can become self-belief, and it will actually do good in your life. Some of the exercises in this book is like very cheesy, I would say, but still I will actually recommend you reading it. Rather than the whole subconscious mind or the secret or anything, I would actually ask you to read this rather than all those things. It's a very good book. The second part is really good, especially when Kamal Ravikant talks about his breakup and all. So yeah, you should read this book. Next book is Mindset. Classic book, loved it. I thought it wouldn't be that good. Like I already saw Carol Dweck a lot on YouTube, and her क्या बोलते हैं TED Talk and all. But I think this idea that you have a growth mindset and fixed mindset and all, this book gave me a lot to think about. That's the best way to put it. And yeah, this book is great. I think everyone should read it once in their life. Mindset is great book. Yeah, I think everyone talks about this book. I don't know why people haven't read it yet. Show your work again, great book. I just wanted to get back to social media in general. I wanted to post more and everything, so I just read it again after like 2 years. I read it like back when I didn't have the money to buy this book, because this book is not cheap. It's like 1,000 rupees. So I read it by the mediums, special mediums. So I read before like that. So I just wanted to buy this book because I think the writer should get some profits out of this. And yeah, loved it. The one particular idea that stood out was the vampire theory, that there are some people who are vampire in your life, like they are going to suck the blood out of your life, and you should get rid of them as soon as possible. So yeah, that particular idea helped me a lot in general. So yeah, highly recommended, highly recommended. Show your work, I think the whole trilogy, like Show Your Work, Keep Going, and Steal Like an Artist, all three books are great. Every creative person should read them once in their life. And yeah, that's it. That's all the books I read this year, and now I have a particular, ढेर of books to clean up. But yeah, that's it. That's the video. I think did a great I did great, I guess, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye bye. I'm not going to record it again. I'm not going to record it again. So whatever this bad ending is, just take it, man. Just take it. Okay. Bye.